Hey friends, happy Wednesday. It's Lisa with Hand Stamped with Lisa Preto. Thanks for joining me today. It is a gloomy day here in Wisconsin. It is gloomy. Was gray yesterday. It is gray today. It's the season, y'all. It is in full swing. I am thinking we are getting snow pretty soon. We did have a little sprinkle of snow, but it feels like it's time. It feels like it's time. It's gray, all the things. So I'm so glad that you're joining me today for our Wednesday Craft and Chat. I have two really cute cards for you using one of the online exclusives that I absolutely fell in love with. It was a little, what do I say? Sometimes when you get a stamp set or a bundle and you're like, huh, like you open it up and you're like, I'm not really sure how this even works. And so I'm going to share a couple tips and tricks with you on that, just to make it a little bit kind of how I do things when I look at something and I'm like, I have no idea what to do with that. So I'll share that little tip with you today as well. But thanks for joining me. If you are watching live, please say hello. If you are watching via replay, go ahead and type in replay. But so excited to share these cards with you today. They're pretty darn cute, I'm not gonna lie. So let me turn my camera around. I'm gonna give you a sneak peek of actually what we're making. So we're gonna make these two cards. I'll hold them up there. We have this one that's so cute, and then this one as well. All right, so I'm gonna show you both of those cards today. But I wanted to share with you, so this is the stamp set and the bundle that we're working with. So the Friendly Foliage stamp set, and you can see it's got all of these really great greetings. I love fonts, I love words. So anytime you get like all of these different words, so good because you can use it for so many different things. And then you've got this image here, two little leaves, and then this really pretty little decorative one. So that's what the stamp set looks like. So the dies that go with it, I want to show you this a little bit here. So do you see that? I was like, huh? Not gonna lie, I was like, okay, well, what's that about? And then you can see this one down here. So one of the things I recommend is if you ever get something and you're like, gosh, I'm not really sure about that, how is that gonna work? Is to open it up and go ahead and run it through your die cutting machine so that you can figure out what these images actually do. So here are the two that we're using on today's card. So there's this one. Can you guys see that? And then there's this one. And so when you first look at them, I feel like they're not super obvious. Like, okay, well, how's that going to work? So I ran it through my die cutting machine and I was like, oh, I get it now. So don't be afraid to like just go through. I actually did that with another one that I just got. I ran it through my die cut machine just because I was like, I am not quite sure what to do with that. And then once I saw it cut out, I was like, okay, now I get it. I get how I can make that work. So the Friendly Foliage bundle, which is this darling stamp set, and then this die cutting. And so that is what we're going to use today. So I did a lot of the die cutting ahead of time, just to kind of show you what that's going to look like. And so let's go ahead and get started on that first card. I'm using the beautiful pattern embossing folder on both cards. It's got just a really nice, simple image there. I've seen this run through the die cutting machine with vellum. So good. And so that is on my list of things to do today. I want to run this through with vellum and see what that looks like and how that turns out, because I think that's a really, really great option. So let me show you what I did here. So I took that image, that leaf image, and I stamped it in garden green on a piece of white. And then when I used that die, this is the one that is like all open in the middle, and then it had those little guys hanging out there, right? So it's this one, this guy right here. So when you stamp it, you get this. It stamps out and it cuts out into this. And so that is really, really cute. So that's the one that we're going to start with today. And so we're going to go ahead and put that together here. So let me make sure I'm doing the right one for you, because we don't want to do the wrong one. That would be weird. So we're going to start with our piece of green cardstock, and we're going to go ahead and fold that, and then just take our bone folder so we get that nice crisp fold there. So we're going to put that on there, and then we're going to come in with that piece that I ran through with that beautiful embossing folder. So we're going to go ahead and take our adhesive onto the back of that. and create that front. With a simple card, I think it's really nice if we can have that little bit of texture. It just makes it a little bit more interesting, and we can still keep things pretty simple. So I die cut out a little circle here. So we're going to take that, and we're going to take the Early Espresso stamping pad, and we're going to stamp that guy. So go ahead, ink him up. Make sure he's inked up real well. And I'm going to stamp it just a little bit high on that circle. So you can see, I mean, isn't that so cute? Oh my gosh, love that font. Such a good font. I'm always like, I know people who have that great of handwriting. Super jealous. My handwriting, chicken scratch all day. So we've got this image. We've got this image yet. So now I'm going to come in and I have an Early Espresso circle as well. And I'm going to come in with this really beautiful Mossy Meadow and gold ribbon. If you look on here, you can see one side has a lot of that gold, and then the other side is a little bit more matte, but still has that little bit of sparkle. And so I'm just going to tie it around that circle. Easier said than done when you're tying ribbon around a circle, right? It wants to go all over the place. And I'm going to take it to the edge here. I'm just going to come right there, come under again. And my goal is to have both of those gold sides showing. So you just have to manipulate it a little bit so that you can see what you want to see. I now have 2 paper snips on my table. If you were watching yesterday when I shared my tags that I was making, suddenly my paper snips nowhere to be found. I literally used them 30 seconds earlier, nowhere to be found. So now there are 2 paper snips sitting there. So sometimes that's just the way it goes, right? So we've got our images here. Get rid of that guy. So we're just going to end up putting it together. And so I'm going to come ahead and put a little bit of adhesive on the back of that brown. And I'm going to put it a little off center. Always better to go a little off center so it doesn't look like you were trying to go in the center and then you just made a mistake, right? So we're just going to go right there. I have this image here, and I'm going to pop that guy up on some dimensionals to give it a little bit of dimension. So I was talking with you guys yesterday about holiday shopping and how I feel like I'm woefully behind, but I had a client reschedule for me today, so I have a little bit of time. So I am going to do I'm going to knock off a lot of my list today. I decided I think it's time. And then I can get wrapping, which I love to wrap. I don't know if you guys love to wrap, but it is one of my very, very favorite things to do is wrapping. And so the way that I do it is I always wrap all my gifts, and then I write the person's name on the back of it. And then I can go in and take my time, and I do all the bows at the same time too. So I wrap everything in a day, and then I come back and I do all the bows and tags at the same time. So just so easy that way, right? Because you're kind of in the groove and everything. So I've got this here. It needs a little zhuzhing, doesn't it? It needs a little zhuzhing. So I'm coming in with these. These are these streaked dots, which I feel like is such a weird name for it. I feel like they look like wood grain is what they actually look like. And so I'm just going to come in and I'm going to take one of those bigger ones. I'm going to come right there, and then I'm going to take another couple and just add a little bit more zhuzhing up here. So maybe that's how we have that. Now we're going to do a little something in the inside of the card as well, because this stamp set does such a great job of having all of these fun little images that all go together. I'm going to go ahead and take, this is going to be my inside piece, and it's just got this really pretty leaf. And so I'm just going to go ahead and come in here, ink her up really well, and give it just a little bit there. That is how I'm cleaning that. That is not very professional, but you know, real life. I'll never forget, any of you who have been around a long time, I was at a Stampin' Up convention, and I'll never forget, Shelly licked her stamp to clean it. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, okay, at least I'm not licking my stamps in front of people. Look at how cute that is. This is such a good focal image. And then just adding the 2 circles, I feel like keeps everything going with a little bit there, but super darling. So that's the first card that I have for you. And then let's go ahead and come in with that second card. So very, very similar in what we're doing, right? We're going to go ahead and we have our piece of cardstock here. I always think when you're cutting a card base, you're getting 2 card bases, right? So you might as well go ahead and when you have everything out, create 2 cards right away. It just will be so nice to have that extra one in your stash. I will say I have found that I really am missing, I don't have enough masculine cards when I want one. That is one that is on my list to create. And I do make like a lot of like happy birthday cards, but honestly, what I really need are all of those thinking of you cards. Thinking of you cards and thank you cards are probably the #1 thing that I go through. And so I don't know why I don't just make those as like when I'm making my cards. I don't know why I think I need to make the birthday cards and all of that because, oh, who knows, right? Why we do all the things that we do. But I am now convinced that thinking of you, because that can be for so many different things, right? So that can be really good. So let's see, I've got a little sticky guy here, and then it looks like another one that needs to be punched out here. I will say my #1 tool that I use aside from like my adhesive is this little poker guy for getting all of those little things out and then cleaning out your dies when you're done. I use that thing constantly. I feel like almost every single card I'm using that on. I think it's because I do like die cutting so much because it's just so pretty. So we're just going to put this, give it a little bit. There we go. So we've got our focal point there. And then we're going to come in again with that green leaf so that we can add a little fancy inside to it. All right, so we'll be able to add that in. So we're going to put that over there. And now we just need to come in and do our greeting. So I just have a piece of cardstock that I had cut some circles out of. So this will be just fine. I'm going to go with this thinking of you. Look at, I did it. I'm actually making one of the cards I said I should make. Good job, Lisa, right? So I'm going to ink that thinking of you up. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it right there. Now I'm going to grab my paper cutter. I'll put these little guys off to the side and I'm just going to cut this. All right, so I've got that guy cut. And now I need to add a couple little things to it to make it look really, really good. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little banner on the end of this. And so to do that, I'm just going to cut here, and then I'm going to kind of try and find the middle, and I'm going to slice it up that middle, and then I'm going to come back and just cut those little pieces out. Look at, we got that cute little banner. So simple, so easy. And then I have some early espresso thread here. And so I'm just going to go ahead, give myself more than I think I need, because you know how what happens if you're going to always be super sad if you cut too short or you go too short and then you got to start all over and you waste it. So I'm a big fan of always giving yourself a little bit more than you think you need so that you don't end up wasting and having, I'd rather cut off the extra than have to start all the way over. So just a little knot, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a bow. A bow is pretty easy with this. We don't have to worry about right side up or anything like that. So give it a little bow, trim those tails, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a dimensional on this one as well. And we're going to come in here and it's going to sit just like that. So super cute, very, very simple. And then we're just going to put our pretty inside in. Like I said, as long as you're cutting and you've got things out and you've got this cardstock and the same stamp pads and everything, might as well go ahead and make 2 cards rather than just one. Now you've got one you can send, one you can wait for later, or be prepared when you decide that I really should have had a thinking of you card. Why don't I have any of those? Well, look at, now you do, right? So again, when you get pieces, when you get bundles where things look a little bit different, right? When we have these different things on here that we're not used to seeing, run it through your machine and it'll give you just such a good, oh, I see how that works. It made a world of difference because I think I was a little intimidated by it until I went through and actually played with it a little bit. So I love that Stampin' Up! Is continuing to come out with new and fun things. That is something I had not seen before. So rather than being intimidated and saying, I don't really even know what to do with that, get it out, stamp with it, cut with it, do all the things, because I think you'll find it's a lot easier and a lot more fun than you thought it might be. Rather than being intimidated, be inspired, right? So happy Wednesday, friends. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining me. Make it a great one.